Renewing Your Mind by Dr. Neil T. Anderson. Session 6, Overcoming Losses. Lesson 1, Reacting to Losses. Our scripture for this lesson is Mark 10:32 through 34. The key point: no crisis can destroy us, but they do reveal who we are. Our key verse is 2 Corinthians 4:17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Nobody likes the idea of impermanence. We live every day with the assumption that tomorrow will be the same. We make plans for the future with the thought that we will have our health, the same job, family, and friends. James says otherwise. Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why, do you not even know what will happen tomorrow? What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. James 4:13 through 15. Only God is permanent. Everything is changing. We are time-oriented people by nature who are in process of learning to see life from God's eternal perspective. On 3 occasions, Jesus told his disciples that he was going to Jerusalem, where he would be betrayed and crucified. The first time, the disciples essentially denied Jesus, and Peter even rebuked him in Mark 8:31 through 32. The second time, they didn't understand and were afraid to talk about it. Mark 9:32. On the third occasion, the disciples were terrified. Their life as they knew it was soon to be over. Mark 10:32. We all go through similar reactions when a crisis abruptly ends an established lifestyle. Usually, the crisis is defined by a significant loss that can be real, threatened, or imagined. Our first response is denial, which can last for 3 seconds or 30 years. Our initial reaction is a sense of disbelief. Not me. Then we get angry and wonder, how could this happen to me? This anger often turns into bargaining as we think, maybe I can alter what happened. Finally, we feel depressed when we are unable to reverse the consequences of the loss. Reaction to losses is the primary cause for depression. No crisis can destroy us, but it can reveal who we are. Learning to overcome losses is a critical part of our spiritual growth. Everything we now have in this temporal world, we shall someday lose. The critical questions are whether we are going to choose the path of resignation and allow the loss to negatively affect us for the rest of our lives, or are we going to accept what we cannot change and grow through the crisis? A wise person once said, a bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you fail to make the turn. Our first question for this lesson is, what were the disciples' reactions when Jesus told them that he was going to be betrayed and crucified? How can the loss of health, a spouse, a date, a job, a leg, and so forth, lead to depression? Question 3. How can accepting what we cannot change lead to growth in character and a better lifestyle than before the loss? Question 4. What changes have you had to adapt to recently? In what ways have those changes been unsettling? Question 5. How should you move on after a significant loss in your life?